3, Medic 9, Rescue 100, Carroll Street and Church Street. Carroll Street and Church Street, motor vehicle accident.
Breaking news tonight in Rockingham County, several people dead after a crash in Eden.
Officials confirming the crash involved a vehicle belonging to the city of Eden. We are bringing you team coverage at 6 o'clock. We'll get to Kenny Beck in just a moment. Let's start with Joshua Davis. He has the latest from investigators tonight. Joshua.
Well, Christine, it's still a very hard scene to witness, even after the hours we've been out here. I'll step out the way so you can see what we're looking at. Down there, you might see that ambulance. That wasn't there before just an hour ago. It just came through, and we've seen a steady stream of additional first responder vehicles, including highway patrol cars. The haulers come to the scene, and that ambulance is right next to an area where first responders have tarped off, obscuring that part of the scene. Now, Eden police confirming multiple fatalities stemming from an accident involving a City of Eden motor vehicle. However, we still don't have an exact number as to how many have been impacted. Police do tell us that this accident happened sometime around 1:30 p.m. at the intersection of Church Street, Carroll Street, and Park Road that you see down there. And we do know that Duke Energy contractors were involved. Now, Highway Patrol is leading this investigation, and Eden police are supporting that investigation. And at this time, we are still waiting on additional details and updates from Highway Patrol troopers. When we get that information, we will bring it to you as soon as we can. But for now, let's toss things over to Kenny Beck. And Kenny, you've been speaking with bystanders at this scene. What have they been telling you?
Joshua, good evening. We have learned some heartbreaking new details about tonight's accident here in Eden involving multiple fatalities and hospitalizations as well. We'll share with you in just a moment what we've heard with some people who were directly involved today, either themselves or with family members. But first, I want to give you a play-by-play almost of what a person told me who unfortunately lost a family member today, what they say occurred. Now, we right now are at the intersection of Morgan and Church. If you go a few hundred feet down Church, where all of the police tape and all of the emergency lights are at this hour, there's a cross street, Carroll Street. That runs from the left across Church, and on the other side of Carroll, that road becomes Park. What a man told me who says he lost a family member today, a local man from Eden who was one of these linemen, he told me that a City of Eden trash truck went past Carroll in between those two power trucks that it sure looks like they were actively in the middle of doing work in this neighborhood and hit multiple linemen who were on the ground in between those two trucks. We do not have an exact number of fatalities confirmed. This man did tell me that his family member, as far as he's been told, is one of 4 victims who was killed in this incident today. As I mentioned, we have spoken with several people who were directly involved here today, have lost a loved one or had a loved one who was very much at the scene and part of this horrific event. One person who has asked us not to identify the name of the deceased because they're still notifying family members, and that's a request that we will certainly honor for them. She did tell me he was a lineman who loved the job. Everybody loved him. He was a great, great guy and brother. A woman that we spoke with just a little bit ago who got the call, the worst kind of call that anyone can ever receive, middle of the blue on a random Thursday afternoon in late April, that a family member had indeed died. We also spoke with another person today who said her son was one of the linemen here at the scene. Luckily, not one of the ones who appeared to have been badly wounded, but she said her son actually put pressure, knew what to do in a situation like this, applied pressure to the severe wounds of one of the linemen who was struck and was able to do so until emergency responders arrived. We don't know the condition of that person, but she told us that her son called her later and it was the most upset she had ever heard him. The trauma that so many people have experienced today is something that will take a long, long time for them to recover from, if they ever recover from this. Again, many questions that we do not have answers to tonight. This is a State Highway Patrol investigation. Unclear when we will get any sort of definitive confirmation from Highway Patrol as to exactly what occurred, how many fatalities, how many injuries, and the severities therein. We are live in Eden tonight. Kenny Beck, WXII 12.